Welcome to another episode of Our Community Cares. I'm Daniella Levine-Cava, County Commissioner, District 8, and I'm really excited to bring you today's episode. We have been hosting a series of conversations every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 4 p.m. with outstanding community leaders on a range of topics that are most essential in this coronavirus world. We have been so fortunate as to have Rick Beasley from Career Source, Nikki Freed, our Commissioner of Agriculture for the state. We've had legal services representatives, CHI, on mental health issues, domestic violence, worker issues at Jackson Hospital, and hospitality industry workers that are displaced through this coronavirus epidemic. So it has been a very, very worthwhile series, and I welcome back all of our listeners who've been with us before, and to our new listeners, you can hear all of those episodes that are archived on Facebook. So again, thank you so much everybody for joining us today. I have to say today's show is really unique. First of all, we've got 3 speakers. So we upped the ante and had 2 with legal services, but today we have 3. Also, this is a topic about which I am not familiar, so I'm going to be learning right along with you. And it turns out that what we're going to be hearing about is something novel and innovative that started since the coronavirus epidemic took hold. So it's really amazing that we're going to have 3 of the most innovative people around telling us about a platform that is here to help, particularly small businesses, in this new brave new world. So please join me in welcoming our 3 speakers. We have Inés Hernandez from Citi Community Development, a longtime friend, Lucas Hernandez with Microsoft's local civic engagement. He's a local civic engagement lead for this project, and I'm not as familiar with Lucas, but looking forward to a beautiful friendship. And Marta Viciedo of Urban Impact Labs, who I've known since her graduate school days. So it is really a great pleasure. They're going to tell us about this new platform they launched just now, okay, hot off the press, accesshelps.org. And please, as you're watching and listening, feel free to write your comments and questions in the comments section of the Facebook Live post, and we will be sure to address your questions and concerns. So, okay, let's get started. Welcome, Inés, Lucas, and Marta. Let's start with you, Inés. Tell us about this collaborative effort. How did it come into being?
Well, I'll tell you, it was such a really extraordinary story about how sometimes when you realize that the cavalry is not coming, it's because you have to look around and see who are the best assets and resources that you already have locally. And sometimes the best response is a local response. And so one of the very first things as we saw the crisis looming is I went out to our nonprofit partners who are up front line working with our most economically fragile families and small businesses. And I asked them, okay, if this crisis is coming the way we think it's coming, what do we need? And they were very, very clear about 2 things. A central location of information that's easy to find and understand, that's in the 3 languages that are important to Miami, Spanish, English, and Creole. But also, so if you think about the federal resources, the state resources, the local and philanthropic, really all channeled in one place. And then also really vetted in official information, because I think in a crisis, it's really hard with all the noise to know what is official and what is information that you can trust. And so what I realized was we had an intersection of like really human nonprofit that were trying to respond, but we also had a technology challenge. So the very first call after that call was to Lucas at Microsoft. And I've never had a funding partner jump on so fast as Lucas and really build out or help us build out that concept of how do you solve for this and from the technology and the partner stance.
Excellent, excellent. So I'm reminded, just to clarify, that Citi Community Development is an arm of Citi, as in Citibank, and you are in a community development field, but supported through Citi's philanthropy. Just want to be sure people know that. Great. Okay, so Lucas, what about your role? Since she was the first person you reached out to, Please tell us about Microsoft's role.
Yeah, ultimately, Microsoft's role is to empower the vision of Inés and the coalition of 12 nonprofit partners that we have at the table that are providing frontline economic relief services. So the power of Access Helps is not me or Microsoft or Citi and Inés. It's really these frontline partners like Catalyst Miami, Satla, all these organizations that we have supporting and giving us feedback into what to create. That really is sort of the fuel of what makes Access special. And ultimately, there's a broader team than that as well. So we'll hear from Marta in a little bit, but as from Transit Alliance Miami was really a thought partner and then a development partner as well to make sure that we're not just designing something to be on the internet, but we're designing something to be easily consumed by folks in crisis. And a lot of times people rush to build something in a shiny new object without consulting the populations that they're trying to serve. So ultimately, my role is really to support and empower these nonprofits to feel like they have support during this difficult time, and then find a way to access and assemble the right team around that considers the needs of the community, engages the community early on, and then builds something that responds to that need that Inés identified. So ultimately, it's one of empowerment is our role, and then one other organization I would love to shout out is Code for Miami, who helped to conduct civic user testing with the website, which means that they compensated people in our community to give feedback about the design and the flow of the website. And if you go to accesshelps.org, it's one of the things that I think a lot of folks will find to be a unique asset of all the resource portals that are out there.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Lucas. And since you named some of the outstanding organizations that partner with you, I just need to give a special shout out to, I'll call it my alma mater. I'm actually the founder of Catalyst Miami. And of course, they're doing fantastic work. I left 6 years ago to pursue this path of political service as an elected official. And I'm very, very proud of the wonderful work and the partnership as well. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, Marta, it seems like all roads lead to you. So let's hear what you can tell us about this platform, Access, A-X-I-S, helps, plural.org, and what makes this web portal different from other portals. You know, this is the first night of Passover, and this is when we ask the 4 questions. Why is this night different from all other nights? So let me ask, why is this web portal different from all other web portals that may be out there with important resource information?
Yeah, no, that's such a great question. And again, thank you, Commissioner Cava and your team for making this happen. Thank you for having us on here. I think that the thing that makes it different is, Inés and Lucas began to touch on it, really it's very user focused. And so when we started developing it, the one thing that we didn't want to do was just have sort of a list, an overwhelming list of resources. We wanted to understand if somebody's coming here and they're just in crisis mode, what is the most helpful? So we created an interface that starts by identifying needs. And so, you know, if you're coming to the site, you're just asked 2 questions. You know, if you're an individual, or are you an individual, or are you a business owner? And then whether you go into one of those roads or the other, what needs are you experiencing? Have you lost your income, or do you need additional cash for your business to keep going? Do you need to help your employees? So focusing it on needs versus just sort of the world of resources that are out there makes it very different and unique. And I think the other thing that stands out that really highlights the uniqueness of the site is that it really intentionally then connects people that have identified, okay, I'm a small business owner, I have this need, here's a solution, or here's a resource that can help me, and here are the organizations are in my community that can help me navigate this process. So it's, the information is whittled down, the information, you know, it's simplified so you can easily understand it, but then there's also that offering of, here's some no cost help that can help you manage, you know, this process.
Well, thank you so very much. And I can't wait to see it. And I understand we're about to do a virtual tour, correct?
Yes. So if we're ready.
Okay, so, all right, let's do it.
All righty. So I'm going to share my screen, and here is the accesshelps.org landing page. So if you navigate there, this is where you land. And at the beginning, there's a kind of a quick disclaimer, not disclaimer, but there's a quick description of what the site is and what we're looking to achieve. But really where people's eyes are going to be drawn is in the center, the two blue boxes, whether I'm a person, sorry, hang on one second, whether I'm a person or a business, and then what are the needs that I'm experiencing. And so that is, you know, as soon as you land here, you can sort of navigate yourself. And if you just poke around on the page a little lower, if you are interested in donating time or money, there's some options there for you, and that's a growing list. You can search by keywords, you can sign up for updates, and you can even sort of look at a directory. What are the latest things that we put in the website? You can find some information about Access and a full program directory. But really the key to navigating the site are these two main blue boxes. So if you like, Commissioner, I can go down some of these pathways. I don't know if you have any that you're particularly curious about.
I would like you to do that. Let's just start with you're a person who lost your income.
Okay.
What would happen there?
So you would come here, click on I lost my income, and then you'll arrive at this page, which will sort of spell out the most immediate things that you can do. And that's what's highlighted in the blue box, right? So the very first thing that most people that have lost their income should do is, of course, file for through the reemployment program. Now, you would click on that and you would go to a secondary page that breaks it down, what the benefits are, what the eligibility is. There's a little bit of a notice here because, as you very well know, Commissioner, and thank you for your advocacy on this, the Access Florida portal has been experiencing difficulty. So people know that there's some difficulty that they may encounter. But if they continue to scroll down, they'll see offerings in Broward and Miami-Dade County that, organizations like Catalyst that can help people navigate that reemployment process. And again, these are organizations that are there to support at no cost.
Let me just ask you something here, because I am quite familiar with this, and it's wonderful to have this one-stop shop. It's obviously going to require lots of updating. Is that, who's on the update team? Because I can tell you several right now that I would like you to update, so I don't want to bother you with it at this moment, but like, how are you going to be able to maintain it current?
Right now, so the update team is that's our team. My job to take whatever information is out there and make sure that people are receiving it. The reemployment page is one in particular that has some updates. Sometimes these have been updated almost on a daily basis. Like when we get to the small business, some of those programs they change on a daily basis. So we've been updating as new information comes along. And I update it most every evening.
Excellent, excellent. So I'll just point out here that now that people have had so much difficulty getting through online to the unemployment compensation application, there's a number of places that are printing the applications, including the county, and people can pick them up and then bring the printed version back. So I think you want to update with that. And also, the challenge is that the federal government has more generous benefits now than the state. So the states, which you have up here, are very, very limited. So when people access the state system, they should be able to access the higher benefit level at the federal level. So we can talk offline about that, but the most important thing is what you have here is who can help you and how to, what are the basics to how to apply. That's great. So let's now say you're a business. Can we walk through that as well?
Yeah, and so from any page, you can just kind of come back up to this little toggle here, and it'll take you to a mirror of that home page. And so let's say that you are a business and that you need money to keep going, right? You need access to capital, something is going on. And you'll arrive at a very similar page. In this case, the ones that we have listed as immediate actions, there's the state emergency bridge loan, there's the SBA disaster loan. A unique offering that we have for small businesses is virtual programs through a business accelerator called Generator, and they're doing both webinars and one-on-one virtual guidance sessions that individuals can sign up for just by clicking that link. Of course, if you have employees, you should immediately apply for the Paycheck Protection Program. And one other thing I want to point out real quick is that, like, at the bottom, if you continue, you know, there's another series of other programs that are available that anybody, you know, could take a quick look through. But let's look at the Paycheck Protection Program as an example, because that's one that's very popular right now. And so it looks, again, very similar. Here you have a little bit of this one has a unique feature where it is time limited. You need to apply by June 30th. You know, the benefits are listed. You can download the sample application, so it gives you some information about applying. One neat thing is that, as you well know, Commissioner, this particular program requires an SBA 7A approved lender. So if you click on this link right here, it'll actually take you to the SBA portal where you can search by zip code. Actually, I can do it real quick. You can search by zip code, and you can figure out, you know, who's that specific approved lender in your area. So let's just say that you're, you know, I just put in a general zip code. Those are the banks that can service you, that can provide a paycheck protection program. So those are the kind of tools that we've made sure that people have access to. And then again, same thing. Who are the organizations that are best positioned to help you navigate this process? And, you know, in this instance, we have the SBDC at FIU, who they're experts, they're wonderful. There's some organizations, there's a couple other organizations, Miami-Dade and Broward County, that can help you do that. And there's lots of information on eligibility. You can pull the drop-down boxes so you can see, you know, who can do this. Lots of links to follow and make sure that you have all the information that you need.
Excellent. Well, listen, congratulations. How wonderful that you have put this all together. And, you know, there's many different places where people are putting up information, but they're not as user-friendly as this, and not as kind of intuitive. So I think that's really, really fabulous. And for, you know, Citi for investing, and the partnership of Microsoft and of all the partner organizations with the Urban Impact Lab in the lead. So tell me, how long has this been up and running?
So, and thank you for the shout out, but I have to say that, you know, it's really a vision from Citi and Microsoft, and it's just, we're just lucky to be able to be working on this. We're excited and really appreciate the opportunity, but this is their vision coming to life. And it's been a learning process for me and my team and the Transit Alliance team and everybody involved. In terms of how long this has been in the world, I think it is now a week and 2 days old. It was born of the coronavirus crisis. It came alive. We officially launched it at the end of at the end of the week before last. So it has not been.
So that I'm in the know. I'm paying attention to what are the opportunities all the time. Yes. But then, how much traction have you gotten, and what are you doing to get out the word to people about the tool?
Oh, great question. So there are some things, actually, I would love Lucas to talk a little bit about the traction we've gotten specifically with the generator offering, because I think that's really unique. But we've had several thousand visits to the site. And the way that we're getting the word out is we have a sort of coalition. Those organizations that are providing support, they form the backbone of what we're calling the Access Coalition. And they are our partners in being able to get the word out. They're sharing it with their networks. We have a wonderful communication strategist on our team, Betty Cortina Weiss, who is helping us get it out there on our social media portals that we've also just launched, and getting it out there on media. But I did want to throw it back over to Lucas to talk a little bit more about the reception for, you know, the offerings like Generator.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think there's around 5,000 to 6,000 unique visitors that have come to the site through word of mouth primarily. And the offering that Marta was sharing, this one-on-one coaching, It's really unique in the sense that there's a lot of webinars out there nowadays that are looking at like SBA general conversations. And ultimately, if you're a business in Miami-Dade County, the odds are you have less than 5 employees, you have maybe no relationship with the bank before, and you really need individualized support. So the partnership with Generator has been a huge offering for us. We've had close to 400 businesses already sign up for it, all small businesses in Miami-Dade County. And what essentially they do is that they provide customized walkthrough support with legal experts that are reading every day the latest on the federal programs that are coming out for small businesses. And it's completely free to the public. So they're doing this just as a service for Miami-Dade County. This is being amplified and supported by other organizations on every day. So we're adding more support to that program as the time goes along. And folks can access that and sign up for one-on-one sessions on the website, accesshelps.org/generator. And that's spelled just like generator in your home. So ultimately that custom one-on-one support, it really speaks to the spirit of what Access Helps is trying to be and what the organizations that are fueling Access really are sort of standing for, which is we really need to meet people where they are, not try to sort of make people come to us. So ultimately, we're trying every day through our partners to reach folks where they are, and then through this offering, providing that custom support that a lot of folks desperately need right now.
Well, that is really exciting. I'm trying to take it all in. So any small business, what are the criteria for who can participate in this?
Any small business. So we've had folks from sole proprietors all the way to hundreds of employees sign up, and from every industry. And also what's interesting about this as well, because there's a lot of applicability to the federal relief programs for small businesses and nonprofits, we've actually seen a significant amount of nonprofits sign up for this and get value from it as well. So of that 400 number, a percentage of which, and I could find that number as we go along here, but have been nonprofits. So ultimately, this is as open of a door as we can make it. And the one-on-one coaching support, we're not at capacity yet. So to the extent that we could get this out, I'll share a couple flyers with your staff so that you could start to distribute that as well. But it's been a really, not surprising, but a really compelling piece of all this beyond just the website.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure who's on the call because, you know, that's on the Facebook side, and I'm talking to Zoom, which we had to do after we got Zoom bombed, really horrifying, a little while ago. So this method is working to control that outside noise, but I'm really eager to know if we have some of our small business mavens and advocates on the line, and if not, we'll be definitely promoting. So for example, Accelerate South Dade, which is the incubator that my office sponsors, Danilo Vargas is in charge of it, and he has a little Zoom call every morning as well. And I can assure you that if they didn't know about it, they'll be signed up right away. And the whole Neighbors Association, Neighbors Assisting Neighbors Association, NANA, they have access to the small businesses, the mom and pop groups. Those are the companies around the county who are getting small grants through Miami-Dade County Commission offices. There are thousands of them, thousands, and I'm sure they are really going to benefit from this. So, so you're doing one-on-one, and you're also doing some training, some webinars based on the needs that you're seeing, correct?
Yeah, and the one that I would highlight that is kind of unique in the sense of the landscape that I've seen so far, and I'd be eager for your thoughts on this, is mental health and wellness. I think a lot of times when we consider this crisis, we sort of think about it in economic terms, and ultimately at the core of what this is, it's a human crisis. At the sort of a unit of business is a business owner, and they care a lot about their employees. So the webinars cover everything from General CARES Act to mental health awareness and support, guided by sort of trained psychologists and psychiatrists that are sort of helping to produce new tactics for folks that maybe aren't used to this sort of confluence of stress in their lives. There are daily webinars that folks are given access to for free, and that's on top of the one-on-one offering. So all that is a menu to choose from. It's not a required program or anything you have to pay for. So ultimately, it's just adding more options for folks.
And Lucas, isn't it also in Spanish?
Yeah, so it's in English and Spanish, all that.
Thank you, Inés, for bringing that to our attention. So, Inés, what are the plans for Citi with this? This is like a pilot that you're launching here in South Florida. Like, how do you think this will expand?
Well, so what's interesting is that since it was built with and for Miami, and I say with, it's really with our nonprofit partners. And what's interesting, since we have to distill the information to be on Access, we end up seeing where there's opportunities to strengthen our nonprofit network, where we can shore them up and make sure that they can rise to the occasion. Because I think this crisis is so massive and there's so many people in need. So I like to think of the tool as almost like the people component to it with our nonprofit ecosystem, especially within the Prosperity Network, right? If you think about the Catalysts and the Urban Leagues and all those folks, it's evolving. So as they see the needs on the ground, we are trying to make sure that the tool is also reflected, but we're also at Citi Community Development, making sure that our partners have the resources that they need to respond to. So I'm not sure if I'm making sense, but what I'm trying to say is that it's evolving. The tool evolves, and then our partnerships also evolve. And we try to keep those two things congruent through this tool. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Well, I have to say I'm reminded after the earthquake in Haiti was when I first got involved in sort of platforms, apps, and so on to assist people in need. And I attended a workshop, what did they call it back in the day? And we were all creating apps that would assist people. And obviously that was quite a few years ago, and our technology and our innovation has grown since that time. And the fact that you were able to pull this up so quickly is really astonishing. And I assume it's available on smartphone app as well as.
Yes, it's mobile ready. I should mention that even though it was kind of birthed out of COVID, our hope and our desire is that it remains something useful to our nonprofit partners, even in a non-emergency situation. There are people who are suffering unemployment or food insecurity, or small business needs help all the time. So how can we build a tool that's useful just in the long term and for other future emergencies?
Right, but it is also a model that could be replicated in any community.
Yeah.
Would you make the, I know how to talk about that. I'm not being, a designer of apps, but would it be something that would be open source that you would allow others to utilize the background to build out something in their community?
I'm going to let Lucas answer that, but I think our vision was always to be something that could be scaled to another community. Of course, how they organize their nonprofits is going to be very unique to each community, but there's an overlay of technology that I think could be used in other places.
Yeah, so to directly answer that, this is all available to be directly cloned. So you could take whatever this website is, create a copy of it, and customize it for your community now. So we're working through various networks, whether it's on the Microsoft side, the Citi side, or sort of other networks like Code for America, to make sure that folks are aware of this. The technology really isn't that complicated, and I think that's where a lot of solutions in crisis are sort of important, that if the technology is so good and it leaves the community behind, it's not really a useful tool. And this is really technology that is open source, easily replicable, but sort of the heart of what it is, it's a lot of humans underneath that are on the front line serving communities, both on the individual and small business side, that would take a little bit more organizing to plug into.
Perfect, just in time for this virtual world that we all are finding ourselves to occupy. Very exciting, very innovative, very helpful. And what if someone is using the resources and they encounter a snag or a barrier of some kind? Can they report back to you what they're finding?
Yes, absolutely. We have there's a email function that has been enabled, so they can let us know if there's a problem. As a matter of fact, we've received some maybe a couple emails of like I guess folks are trying to upload documents and maybe thought that this was a different site, and so we were able to help them understand where they needed to upload that. So yes, they can absolutely do that.
So I was thinking not so much of problems with your site, but problems with the agencies offering the help.
Oh,
so
sure.
People, not being able to get through on the unemployment compensation site, or trying to go pick up the printed version and there's a long line, or there's a food distribution and there's not enough food, or those sorts of things. So you're kind of monitoring some of the problems in delivery of the service.
Mm.
Right. No, and I think, Commissioner, there's been quite a few challenges in that space. So we have heard people have continuously told us where the challenges are. That little disclaimer that we talked about in the reemployment program, that was born of that, right? It's people need to know. So we try to address that as much as possible when whatever is in our control. And again, we try to make sure that the information is as fresh as possible.
Okay. Well, again, hats off to all of you, and what an extraordinary benefit that you've created for the community and a model for others. And again, I do have a few points to talk with you about offline, some ideas about things that are coming. And, this is kind of like very close to my heart, because back in the day, I had a dream of something called the People's Portal. This was like before people even had emails. It was in the early days of websites. And I had in mind this kind of democratization of data about programs that would be available. I even met with a copyright attorney to see about copywriting the idea. And I'm talking maybe 15 years ago. And since then, there are many portals where people can do online applications and all these different programs that people can benefit from, whether it's SNAP, which is the old food stamps program, or income assistance, or women, infant, and children, the unemployment comp, all these different programs. And you have to apply individually each time, and sort of creating a centralized format. So there are many, many efforts. And it's many, many years that I was involved in trying to make these things centralized. And, what do I like to say? Collaboration is an unnatural act among consenting adults. It's really hard to get people to put aside their own and work on something collaborative. But this is really, truly a great benefit that you've created. So there are no further questions or comments from our listeners, but you can certainly let us know after. And so I want to thank all of my guests. Thank you, Inés, Lucas, Marta. This is extraordinary. And just before I do wrap up, do you have any closing remarks? Anybody? It's all right if you don't, because we've covered a lot of topics here. Great. So then we're thanking you, and we want to make sure that our listeners know, and that you know, that we'll be back Friday. It is Good Friday. It will be a very good Friday for those of you who are not going to be on the show because it's Good Friday. We understand, and you could go back later to the archived version, but we will be with you on Friday. And Dr. Julio Frank, the president of University of Miami, will be joining us. He'll not only talk about the university response to COVID, but also to his own experience as an epidemiologist. He is actually a leading epidemiologist. He headed the Harvard School of Public Health. He's extremely knowledgeable about this epidemic and others, and we're really excited to have him as our guest Friday at 4. And then following on Monday, we'll have another University of Miami physician. That is Dr. Erin Kobetz, and she's with Sylvester Cancer. She's been a leader in community-based participatory medical research, and she is leading the study that is really unique in the country that Dr. Fauci recommended be done, kind of community-based public health epidemiological study to see what is the incidence of the exposure in our community. And that project has begun this week, and she'll be reporting to us how is it going and what are the goals of that study. So that's Friday and Monday, and we'll have some other great programming for you after that, Wednesday, Friday. So stay tuned. Most importantly, be safe, be strong, and be kind. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.